Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to the This Is True podcast. I am your brother in Christ and I am true. I'm coming to you live right now just to continue my series, Why You Mad? When you know the truth will make you free. Now, I'm not the only one who can be true. You can be true too. You practice being true by being true to yourself, telling yourself the truth, and living by the principles of truth. By convincing yourself that the life you live is Christ is watching. That's really the premise of this whole thing. Keeping in mind that Jesus is watching, God is watching. The foundation of the topic of why you mad is Psalm 2. And there's a couple of versions of it that are pretty cool. But in the King James, it says, why doth the heathen rage and why do their kings imagine a vain thing? And so the questions that a lot of people have is, what does that really mean? And what's it about? And what does it got to do with today? In one of my Hebrew Bibles I have is the Sepharia. In Sepharia, it's got its own, it's a Hebrew Tanakh, and it's got the words in Hebrew. And so I'm going to read from Sepharia first, and then I'm going to go to Mechon Mamre, another Hebrew version. And the reason I'm reading it in Hebrew is because the Hebrew is very different from the King James. In Sepharia, it says Psalm 2, 1 and 2. Why do nations assemble and peoples plot vain things? Kings of the earth take their stand and regents intrigue together against the Lord and against his anointed. So in verse 3 and 4, it says, let us break the cords of their yoke and shake off their ropes from us. He who is enthroned in heaven laughs. The Lord mocks at them. He speaks to them in anger, terrifying them in his rage. And they say, he says, but I have installed my king on Zion and my holy mountain. And so we go back to, when I go into Mechon Mamre, it reads like this. Why are the nations in an uproar? And why do the peoples mutter in vain? The kings of the earth stand up, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed. Now, the word anointed is, his anointed is in Hebrew, it's Va'al Mashiacho. So it means something. So, and it goes on, it says, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens laugheth, and the Lord hath them in derision, means they're confused. And so what's going on with the world today? The world is upset. Everybody is ticked off. Everybody's got something going on, and your life is out of control because the way you imagine life would be, doing it your way, hasn't worked out. So you're mad at the world, and you're tormenting and persecuting everyone. What's wrong with the religious leaders today? Why is the American Christian church following after the beast, following after the Roman Emperor Donald Trump and the Republican Party? Why are they following after white supremacy? Why has Christianity in the world today become white supremacists? And why are Black people becoming Black supremacists? Why are people doing their own thing? And why are they so angry? Why do husbands and wives, why are there wars in your homes? Why are we against each other? Why are we not together? Why are Black churches so messed up? Why are white churches so messed up? What's wrong with the world? Well, we're all in rebellion against God. We don't want to serve God. We want God on our terms. And so what do I reference that from? In Exodus, when Moses brought the children of Israel to the mountain, Mount Horeb, they didn't believe Moses was talking to God. So they said, we want to talk to God ourselves. And so they said, okay, Moses went to God, and God said, okay, let's confront them. Let's do this. He told them what to do. He told them to bathe themselves, cleanse themselves, and fast 3 days, and so on and so forth. And so they fasted, and they came to the mountain, and God showed up. And so this is what Yahweh revealed to me about that whole confrontation. You see, what they wanted was the same thing that the people wanted at the Migdal Bavel, the Tower of Babel. They wanted to create this tower, this ziggurat, this mountain for God to come down so they can negotiate with God. They weren't interested in doing what God wanted them to do. They wanted to come to an agreement or terms with God, like they did with the idols, like they did in Egypt. That's what the pyramids were about. They're ziggurats. That's where they're built the same way they're built. That's where they're built like a pyramid, like a mountain. They represent the mountain of God. But since Yahweh wouldn't come down, these false gods would. And they would sacrifice to these false gods. They would kill the slaves of the kings so the kings could have slaves in the afterlife. It's kind of weird, ain't it? You got to be a slave in life, now you got to be a slave in the afterlife. So they would kill you so the king could have slaves. I want to let that marinate for a minute. See, this is the secret to the parable of the rich man and Lazarus. The rich man was such a narcissist in his life. He saw Lazarus as his servant even in the afterlife. Even after he saw where he ended up, he wanted Lazarus to come and serve him and dip his finger in water to cool his tongue. He wanted Lazarus to comfort him when Lazarus needed him to comfort Lazarus. He didn't do that. He allowed Lazarus to die. I mean, this is how the narcissists in your life operate. They only see you for what you do for them. And even when they're suffering, when they're suffering for what they did to you, they still only see you as someone to use, misuse, mistreat, to persecute, and to put down and keep down, oppress. This is how our whole culture is set up. So when your oppressor, the oppressor in this culture, sees that the judgment is coming, instead of stopping what they're doing and ending their oppression, they just change it. They make themselves out to be the victims. We're being oppressed when they're being judged for their crimes and their sins. You understand? But we have imitated our oppressor. We have become our own oppressors. We are worse to ourselves than the Klan ever was. I'm gonna let that marinate for a second. You need to think about that. We persecute each other and ourselves worse than the KKK ever did. We got our kids killing each other in the streets like it's a sport. They're killing each other, shooting each other over what? Money, clout, insults, offenses, stupid stuff. Our people are dying every day over nothing. And the reason that our kids are killing each other in the streets is because we forgot the God that got us over. So we're trying to become Hebrew Israelites. We're trying to do all this stuff, but we're not trying to humble ourselves. We're not trying to commit ourselves and submit ourselves to the hand and to the power of God. All we want to do is keep doing what we're doing. We want to keep on doing our wickedness, but we have a form of godliness denying the power of God, being godly. We are fulfilling 2 Timothy chapter 3. We're selfish, we're narcissists, we're lovers of ourselves, we boast about who we are, brag, proud, boasters, disobedient to parents, we mistreat each other in the name of God, and using the name of God, we persecute each other. So what are we mad about? What are you upset about? Your best thinking got you here. So how do you change it? If you want your life to change, you're going to have to start confessing it's your fault. It's my fault. It's not your wife. It's not your husband. It's not your son. It's not your daughter. It's not the pastor. It's not the bishop. It's not the apostle. It's not these people. It's you. You're following them. You know they ain't right. So why do you think it's going to change? The people told Moses, we don't believe you're talking to God. So we want to go to the mountain and see God ourselves. And when God showed up, they were like, hey, Moses, we don't want this. Why don't you go up the mountain and talk to God? And whatever God tells you, we're going to do it. And they never did anyway. They didn't do it. Moses goes up to the mountain, and it takes 40 days and 40 nights before God starts speaking to him. Maybe God was really that ticked. Maybe God was really that upset, that angry, that they try to play him like that. I mean, why did it take 40 days? He could have just did it in a day. And maybe Moses needed to cool off. Maybe God and Moses needed to cool off. Maybe God and Moses needed 40 days to get this all straightened out. Because maybe there were some things that just needed to maybe time needed to pass because an immediate response was not going to solve the problem. Even Yahweh takes time to cool off. Even Yahweh realizes that my anger, I'm just going to destroy him. I don't want to do that. I want to save them. I want to use these people. I don't want to take them to the desert and kill them, but they keep offending me. They complained about food. God gave them manna from heaven. They complained about that, so God gave them quail. They complained about water. God gave them water. Every time they complained, God gave them a way out. But they didn't want to serve God. Why didn't they want to serve God? Because they were selfish. The same reason that they don't want to serve God is the same reason you don't want to do it. You don't want to give up. You don't want to give up this thing that you think is you. You don't want to give up this belief system that you have, that you identify with, and you don't want to change it because it means you got to submit to God. It means you got to give up this position that you think that you're in control of things. I'm in the high seat. You got to do what I want you to do. I'm the pastor. I'm the bishop. I'm the apostle. I'm the prophet. I'm this. Baby, if you all that, you're supposed. He just the greatest of you all is to be the servant of you all. So if you want to be all the great, then you need to put a towel on and wash everybody's feet. What? I gotta wash everybody's feet. I gotta submit to you. I gotta take the lower seat. And Yeshua said, hey, when you come to assembly, instead of taking the high seat, take the low seat. Let them elevate you. Instead of elevating yourself, let them elevate you. Because this is what the Pharisees were doing. They were competing for high seats. They were competing for positions that they didn't earn. And this is what we do today. But we put on a preacher's collar, put a gold cross, and go buy a gold cross and then stick the cross in your pocket. So we would call you bishop. We got men who call themselves men of God, who are not living anywhere close to the Bible, pretending they are, say they believe the Bible, but they're not doing the Bible. And they call themselves bishops and apostles and prophets and pastors and teachers. And they call themselves all these names, but they're not living the word. So why are we surprised when the people ain't living it? Why is it you got all these bishops on TV and all these on Facebook and YouTube and TV and then on all these channels, they mad at folk because folk don't want to come to church anymore. They got tired of being abused by you. They got tired of being mistreated by you. They got tired of your false teachings and your wrong beliefs and your wrong thoughts. They got tired of being exploited by you. That's why. So why are you mad? You don't want people doing that to you. Why are you doing it to them? You got this high seat, but you're not humbling yourself and coming down to the position of a servant. You're not lowering yourself to their level saying, hey, I'm your shepherd. I'm going to help you. The shepherd gives his life for the sheep, not the sheep for the shepherd. Everybody's got an opinion about somebody else, but what about you? See, I had to humble myself. Because God humbled me. So I had to accept the humility that God was forcing upon me. Because if I wanted to serve him, I had to become humble. I had to humble myself. Yeah, it didn't feel good. It didn't feel good. So now I got to start all over. So the things that I should have did 40 years ago, I'm doing today. Now I'm taking biblical Hebrew so I can know what the Bible really says. Now I'm studying church history so I can know what really happened. So I can see where we went wrong. Why do we believe the things we believe? Because we've been taught this stuff by narcissistic, arrogant, pompous unbelievers who purported to be believers because they saw a political position that they could take so they can serve their own God on their own terms. And we're still doing it to this day. 1,700 years later, we're still doing it. We're still serving a false God under false pretenses, under wrong beliefs and wrong thoughts. And we're still chasing after the gods of our understanding. And it's the God of your understanding that got you messed up in the first place. It's the God of your understanding that made you do the things you did that got you here. And your life is messed up, it's tore up from the floor, and you know it's a mess. But I don't want to humble myself. I don't want people to know that I'm a mess. We can kind of see it. People could look at my life and see it was a mess, but I kept trying to pretend that it wasn't me. It's not me. It's the one-armed man. Hey, boo. Let's go steal a picnic basket. Come on, man. Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out my butt. That shake never works. This time for sure. Okay, that's not a rabbit. And it's the same thing over and over and over and over again, and it never gets anywhere. This is my problem. You see, I know that only certain people are going to be able to handle this message. So I'm not for everybody. I get it. I understand it. I'm not for everybody. And no, I don't believe anybody's going to be able to really run with me and hang with me and roll with this because I'm for certain people. This is why I put in my links below 12steppers.org, samhsa.gov, betterhelp.com, because I'm for people who really want to be real with themselves and real with the world and say, yeah, I need help. You know what I mean? That's who I'm for. I understand that. And that's really the bottom line, right? I'm for the people that really want help. And if you want to get help, then you got to do the right thing, right? So if you want it to happen, then you got to do it. And that's the bottom line. That's how it's got to work. It can't be any other way. So the truth is that God wants you to walk in his ways and do his will. That's it. You can't do anything else. And that's how it works. If you don't want anything else to go wrong, then you got to stop doing wrong. You want things to go right, then you got to start doing right. If you believe God's word, then do his word. If you believe God's will is for you to have these things, then you got to do the things that you have to do to qualify for it. This is what Yahweh was saying to Cain. If you was doing the right thing, I will bless you. But no, you're not doing the right thing, so I can't. Sin is lying at the door, and he's waiting for you. He's going to pounce on you. And if you don't change your way, he's going to dominate you. And what happened? He killed his brother. Why? Because he didn't deal with his heart. He held on to that grudge. And that grudge called him to kill his brother. So why do we do the things we do to each other? Because I would rather prove myself right even when I know I'm wrong. I'd rather fight and sin against God by sinning against my brother or my sister. I'd rather do the wrong thing so people can think I'm right. They know I'm wrong. That's why they're asking me questions. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Why are you acting like that? Where's that coming from? That's not Bible. And so you got to take the scriptures and twist it around so you can have the appearance of being right. See, this is why your prayers don't get answered. Don't lie. They don't get answered because you're not living right. You're not doing right. And God can't bless you. So that devil you serve gives you close enough. It's not really what I wanted, but it's close enough. It must be God. It's not. It's not God. I'm talking from experience. I did this for 30, 40 years. But the closer I got to God, the more that I realized I had to change. The closer I got to God, the more I realized that I was going to have to change. I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. If this is blessing you, just, hit the like button, go into the comment section, leave some comments. Also share with your friends. I'm not going to put a Cash App in here. I'm not asking for money, because I'm really just trying to get the message out. It's not that I'm not trying to get support for this ministry, but by sharing with friends and helping this ministry to grow, and by reaching out to other people, and by sharing it with other people, you help get followers and you help get me advertising, and advertisers will pay me. All I really want to do is get the message out that life can be different. Life can get better. Your life can change, but it starts with you dealing with you. Instead of you trying to change everybody else, trying to change the world, how about you change you? The world you live in will change when you change, because they're reacting to you. The hard part for me to accept was that God was telling me they're reacting to you. The stuff you're doing is making them act that way. Ooh, that was terrible. It sucked to keep hearing that from God. They're reacting to you. They act the way they do because the way you talk to them, the way you treat them, the way you make them feel. You make them feel like they're dirty dogs. The way you act, the way you talk, you act like you so high and mighty. They don't like you. Why should they like me? I make them feel like they're dirt. I should be making people feel like they're loved and they're important and they're special. I should make them feel like they really matter. But I was making people feel like dirt. I was harsh. I was cruel. I was judgmental. I was sanctimonious. Not sanctified, but I was sanctimonious. And that's why people don't believe us. That's why people don't want to come to God. That's why people don't want to go to church. That's why people don't want anything to do with God. That's why my kids weren't serving God. Because of me. So why are you mad? When you know the truth will make you free. When you know the truth, you start dealing with it. The truth only makes you free when you deal with it. When you know that, okay, this is my problem. This is where it's coming from. This is why I think the way I think. This is why I do the things I do. And if you start doing the work on you, why do you think that way? Why do you feel that way? What makes you do the things you do? When you know why you do it and you do the work on you, that's in psychology, they call it cognitive behavioral therapy. You deal with your thoughts. Dialectical behavior therapy is the same thing, but it's a little more intense. But psychologists and psychology has found a way to narrow these things down, and you should do it. Try it. Just try it. What could it hurt? You just might get better. If you know why you do the things you do, then you probably stop doing it. If you don't know what's broken, then you can't fix it. You dig what I'm saying? If you don't know why it doesn't work, then you won't change it. You know it doesn't work, but why doesn't it work? What's the design flaw? What's the flaw in that thing? Why do I think that way when I know it doesn't work? Why do I keep doing it when I know it doesn't work? It's not the devil. It's not demons. It's not witches and warlocks. It's not other people. It's your mind. Your mind is working against you. Your brain, the way you think, sabotages everything you think you want. Even the things that you really do want, you are sabotaging it yourself by your words, by your actions, by your thoughts, and the way you handle people, places, and things. You're trying to control something that God should be in control of. If you trust God, it'll work out. You don't trust God, it won't work out. You're not going to be able to pull a rabbit out your butt. Rabbits don't come out your butt. I got to let you marinate on that for a minute. The things you're trying to do yourself, you can't do. It takes God to do it. And you got to get on his terms. And instead of trying to manipulate God, why don't you deal with you? Why don't you manipulate yourself? Instead of trying to get God to go along with your program, why don't you get on his? You know what I'm saying? I fixed my shirt. I don't know why it's looking like that. Anyway. My point really is this. If you know what the problem is, don't you think you should probably deal with it? Don't you think maybe it's possible that if you deal with the thing that's causing you the most misery and you fix it, that'll stop happening and you won't be so frustrated and so irritated. You won't be so mad because it's never going to work. So when you look at Cain and Abel, they both brought the sacrifice. They brought the right sacrifice, but Cain's heart wasn't right. Abel's heart was. Abel, his heart was right. His brother's wasn't. It didn't mean that he didn't have sin, but his heart was right. The difference between David and Shaul, Saul and David, David was going to trust God no matter what. Saul, it was circumstantial. It was according to what he wanted to do. God said, kill everything. Saul went down there and see, when you read the text of what happened when Saul was supposed to kill everything, and he killed everything except the best animals, and he left the king alive. He was willing to compromise with the devil. Agag was evil. He was a giant. He was killing people. Look what Samuel said to him. If you're going to read, look that chapter up. Look what Samuel said to him when Samuel cut him up, killed that man. He said, "You killed other people's kids. I'm going to kill you. You made other people fatherless. I'm going to make your parents, other people childless. I'm going to make your parents childless." That's something, isn't it? David loved God so much that he went up against a giant with a sling and 5 rocks. He was willing to kill the giant. Saul wasn't. Saul wanted to get along with the devils. David didn't want to tolerate them. Saul was willing to live with the devils, so God let him. God let an evil spirit come upon Saul, and it tormented Saul the rest of his life. David wasn't perfect, but David saw the giants. David saw the Nephilim and said, "No, you don't get to live. The Raphaim, I'm not going to let you live." There's a whole message in that. What are you willing to live with? And if you're willing to live with it, you will. You're going to live with it and you're going to die with it. The devil you don't want to get rid of is going to destroy you and your family. You don't get rid of that devil, he's going to destroy you and he's going to destroy your children. Saul died and all his children died because he kept a devil alive. When God wouldn't talk to him no more and Samuel died, Saul went to a witch to get a message from God, and he still ended up dying the next day because he didn't want to change. He had got to the place where there was nothing else left. And there's people today that are in the body of Christ. They're in church. They're around the message. They hear the gospel. They hear the good news, but they don't want to get rid of that devil. They ran everybody off, and now here they are all by themselves. Instead of coming to God saying, look, Lord, I'm going to give up. I give up this devil. You can have it. I don't want to live this life like this no more. They just keep going on until it destroys them. But you don't have to live like that. You don't have to make that choice. You can make a decision and say today, look, I'm tired of living like this. I want to get this monkey off my back. I want to get rid of this mental illness. I want to get rid of this addiction. I want to get rid of this bad habit. I want to get rid of this codependency. I want to get rid of this wrong thinking, this false doctrine, these wrong beliefs. I want to get rid of this false religion, this fakeness. I want to give up the way I've been living my life. I want my life to change. I'm willing to give up everything, Father. Just take it all. So you got to lay everything out. Let God sort it out. Don't sit up here and go through the box yourself, because you're going to keep some stuff you needed to get rid of. You're going to keep some people you need to let go. And you're going to throw away some people you need to keep. You're going to throw away some things you need to keep and keep some things you need to throw away. So you can't be in charge of the choice. You got to let God choose it. That's why you're mad, because you know you got to give up some stuff. You got to give up some boyfriends and some girlfriends, some homeboys and homegirls. You got to give up your road dogs and your friends, and you got to give up some people. You got to give up some things. You got to let some things go. And you got to be faithful to some things and some people that you've been doing wrong all this time. And you got to go back and make it right with them. And because of your pride, you won't go back and make it right with the people you need to make things right with. And you want God to bless you. You want God to touch your life. I'm only telling you this because this is what I had to do. It's not because I wanted to do it. I didn't want to. I wanted to keep doing what I was doing. I wanted to keep living the way I was living. I wanted to keep thinking the way I was thinking. I didn't want nobody to tell me what was right. I didn't want to do what was right. I wanted to keep doing what was wrong. And I kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it. It didn't work. 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 I was mad at the world. I was angry all the time. I was going to work mad. I was coming home mad. I was going to my job mad. I was mad at the people on my job, mad at these people, mad at that people. I was trying to make everybody else do right, but I wasn't doing right myself. Up until the end of 2024, that's who I was. That's what I was doing. And the reality is that people were doing the things they was doing, and I was living the life I was living. I was doing the things I was doing, and everybody was getting what they were working for. The laborer is worthy of his hire. That's right. The consequences for my behavior, the consequences for my actions, I was getting them back. And I didn't like it. So I had to be willing to put everything on the table, lay it all aside. That's why Hebrews 12:1 says, seeing how we're compassed about, so with such a great cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside all these weights and the sins that so easily beset us or upset us. These sins we so easily commit. Looking to Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, and let us consider the contradiction of sinners. So let's look at the contradiction in my life. I had to look at the contradiction of the things I profess to be, the things I said God set me free from, the things that God was doing to me. I had to look at the contradiction. For I have not yet suffered under blood, meaning I'm still alive. I still got a chance. So stop acting like I'm going through something, like I really did something. I kept walking down that 12th chapter. I kept looking at myself and realizing that if God was correcting me, it's because he loved me. If God was allowing these things to happen in my life, it's because he loved me. I lost family members and friends and loved ones, and it hurt. It hurt a lot. Still hurts. I'm not playing. This is not a game for me. This is serious. If I want my kids to come to know God, then I have to act like I know God. If I want my children and my grandchildren to come to know God, then I got to live like I know God. If I want my family members and my loved ones to change their life, I've got to change mine. It's not about me. It's about them. I'm their servant. They're not mine. I'm supposed to be showing them the way to God. So if I'm going to be like Noah and save my family, then I got to save me. So I got to obey God. I